name's Paul Jenkins, Managing Director of UK Packaging Innovation Consultancy, ThePackHub. I'm delighted to be joined today by Kerry Sanders, Vice President of eCommerce at EFI. Welcome, Kerry.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. Looking forward to a really insightful conversation over the next few minutes or so. What kind of e-commerce packaging trends are there for retailers and brand owners, do you think?
Yeah, so we've seen that there's really three buckets. There's the branding opportunity, or looking at the package as part of a brand activation. That's one of them. The second one, and I'll give you some additional kind of color or comments on that. The second one is looking at the box as a billboard. So turning that e-commerce shipper into a platform for third-party ads, that's a big one. And I'll talk about that more. And then the third one is sustainability, right? Yeah. I mean, we're all aware of it, but all brands are looking to move all plastics out of their, packaging supply chains if they can, simplify packaging to a fiber-based material, remove void, kind of right-size packaging so that they're not shipping air. So that's the third one. So let me go back to the brand piece. So not all e-commerce journeys are created equally or the same, right? So think about your own journey. You might log on to a big marketplace like Amazon, buy a toothpaste, buy a toothbrush and buy bin bags, right? And they'll put that in a one color shipper that we talked about already, and they'll send that to you. However, if you log on to Amazon as part of a live stream shopping session, which I don't know if you've heard about, but this is a big trend where an influencer is hosting a highly curated shopping session with, Amazon Prime members, let's say, your expectation on that brand experience and that influencer's brand experience is very different than what I described previously, correct? So similar to if you're on for seasonal reasons, it's the holidays and you're shopping. All of these big marketplaces are driving registry businesses, wedding registry, birth registry, and that changes. So with all of that in mind, these brands and retailers are thinking about these e-commerce journeys differently, and then the box decoration requirements that are associated. If you think about brands, they're going direct to consumer, DTC or D2C. And so just as we described, they're thinking about that digital journey. And the first physical touch point that consumer will have with their brand is the package that shows up at the doorstep. And so they want to decorate or improve the brand experience on the outside and inside of the box. Some brands are concerned about theft, so they don't do a lot of decoration on the outside. They do it all on the inside, and they're still able to improve that brand interaction and that brand activation with the inside decoration. So DTC, that's a big trend. Another big trend is called SIOC, ships in own container. And so that what we see is brands going through marketplaces like Amazon, or in the States, Walmart. They're able to avoid handling fees from those marketplaces if the product packaging that they send to the marketplace doesn't have to be reboxed with an e-commerce outer box. So they're avoiding the reboxing and the handling. And so that's blurring the lines between primary packaging, secondary packaging. Stiffer corrugated material is replacing folding carton. The need now to decorate that, to put track and trace barcodes on that, to put QR codes for brand interaction. All of that's taking place on those SIOC boxes, and so that's a big trend as well within the brands. And so for a brand, all of those things that I just mentioned are big trends, and that's what's causing, we think, that 60 to 70% of low graphic requirement to move more to the high graphic requirement, because again, not all e-commerce journeys are the same. DTC, SIOC, there's all kinds of brand outcomes now that are being driven through these corrugated packages. So that's the first one. The second one, which is an emerging category, is on-box advertising. The box is a billboard. Yep. And if you think about how many digital ads you're bombarded with every day. You know, the life of a digital ad is measured in milliseconds. And I think I saw some stat that you only remember 2 digital ads from the previous day, and you're getting served thousands of ads a day, right? In fact, we're buying software to filter ads because there's so many ads, right? And so each of these big retailers, they're creating what's called retail media networks. And essentially what the retail media network is doing is they're looking at their physical and digital ecosystem, right? And they're thinking, how can we monetize that ecosystem by offering third-party brands advertising space? So traditionally they say, hey, if you want to buy ad space on our website or our marketplace, you can do that, and they'll sell you the ads. They do that on in-store signage as well. I mean, we've all walked through a grocery store and seen a decal on the floor, right? What's pointing to things on shelf. That is part of a retail media network selling that ad to a brand. Well, these retail media networks are aware that digital ads aren't working anymore. The return on ad sales for digital is going way down. And so they're looking for new platforms. And this on-box advertising category is growing because what they found is it cuts through, right? We'll look at an on-box ad where we'll filter a digital ad because it's new and novel to us, right? And if you think about the on-box ad, its lifetime or its lifespan, I guess is a better term, would be measured in hours and days, not milliseconds, right? Because, you know, the box comes into the house, it sits there in front of everybody for a while until you unbox. And then when you unbox, then, you know, it goes into the recycle. And that's hours and days. That's not milliseconds. Digital ads are milliseconds. So it's an emerging category. And in fact, there was an Ad Age article that just came out, in October of 2022, where Amazon measured the effectiveness of on-box ads, I think over an 18-month period. And what they found was that their on-box advertising had a 4 times better engagement rate than digital ads. 4 times, right? So yeah, if they want to sell, you know, ad space to a brand that wants to cut through and get a better engagement rate, then that on-box ad value proposition is really appealing. And you know, in Amazon, I've seen Amazon, maybe a few other retailers starting to explore, you know, on-box advertising and offer it. I don't think it's been broadly adopted yet. But if you think again about that 60 to 70%, that, you know, low graphic requirement, if you start putting ads on every e-commerce shipper, that's going to move all of that to the high graphic requirement. And that's very interesting, obviously, to us as EFI.
So that is third-party media real estate. So that is somebody advertising a completely separate but related product onto
exactly
some
right.
That opens up a huge opportunity.
Yeah, it does. It does. And you know, I think one of the things that came out of COVID is we all got used to interacting with QR codes, right?
Yes.
And the ability to include that QR code on the box, and then, you know, ask for a call to action, like, you know, receive a promo, or, you know what I mean, buy now or whatever, that no longer is a barrier. There was resistance to QR codes. I think, you know, I used to read a lot of articles about that prior to COVID, but COVID just blew that away. Everybody's interacting with QR codes, from, you know, menus to augmented reality sessions to get to promos to share first party data. They're doing all of that right now. So I think that strengthens the on-box advertising value proposition.
And it tackled some of the challenges around free postage and the economics of e-commerce. If you've got a separate and different revenue stream.
That's right. Yeah, because now it's you know, somebody's looking at this as a revenue / profit stream instead of just a supply chain item that they have to manage. Right.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And I measured the third one about sustainability, but we talked about that already on the essence of time. You know, I think everybody's well aware that all brands, you know, are looking at their packaging with a critical eye related to, you know, 360 view on the planet, right, on sustainability.
Yeah, I mean, are there any specific sustainable areas of interest, or is it just a general desire to to improve their environmental footprint? I mean,
Yeah, I think that, as I said, remove plastics. They want to remove all plastics as possible. Moving to fiber-based materials, right? Corrugated is a fiber-based material. They want to reduce overpack, right? So that they're not having to ship air and void fill. So they want right size, kind of packaging. The other thing is, and this is more of a business driver, but if you think about it, if there's uncertainty in the economic forecast, a lot of this industry is about placing big orders, right, to get a price point and then warehousing and then drawing down on the order over a period of time, right? So you place an order for 1 million boxes, let's say, right? And then you warehouse what you don't need until you need them, and then you run it through. Well, if there's risk in, demand and supply forecasts, that, a brand's willingness to place a large order goes down because they don't know, if they're going to be sitting on that and warehousing those boxes for months, maybe. So that ties in well with sustainability because, you don't have to recycle what you don't use, right? So if you start placing lower or, smaller quantity orders, right, with more frequency, that then eliminates the need to warehouse and or not use and recycle what you don't need.
Are you getting sort of more pressure, that's the right word, to substantiate some of the environmental challenges in terms of not necessarily life cycle analysis or CO2 emission reduction, but those kind of, I'm finding in the space we're at,
yes,
there just seems to be a lot more evidence-based initiatives going on. Is that something you're sort of seeing?
Yes, absolutely. So our customers are the corrugated providers, right? The big integrated paper companies down the corrugators and the converters. Every conversation I have with them, they've all developed and are in the process of developing an LCA tool, so that when they're pitching for a new business or looking at current business, they're able to help the brands and retailers that they support do that carbon calculator, do that kind of sustainability measurement related to how they're printing on this corrugated. And by the way, digital print, we have a very good story here, right? Because we use less water, we use less energy. It's this just-in-time printing, right? So that there's less waste. There's no plates involved with digital printing. So in the printing industry, there's a lot of waste related to plates, right? Once a plate is obsolete, it has to be recycled or thrown away. That doesn't happen in digital. You have to wash plates with water, right? I mean, there's no water consumption, like that with us. So we have a very good story to tell related to sustainability in digital print. That's
good. One area you haven't mentioned of the three trends, which I've always find fascinating for the digital world, is around personalization. So presumably there's a whole world of opportunity to personalized packaging in terms of the e-commerce deliveries, pack versioning, different coding, all sorts of things that digital print can offer. Is that something that you're sort of seeing a growth in?
Absolutely. So, one of the core tenets of the value proposition for digital is that there's no plates involved. And so you can have variation of print in the same print job, right? And this relates to packaging as well. And the digital presses we're talking about are, industrial strength presses. They're printing out 5,000 boards an hour. They have duty cycles that take them to over 1 million square meters a month, right? And so your ability to include variation in those print jobs is, yes, that's what digital is all about. Now, you mentioned personalization. So subscription, right? And subscription services are growing. They're an important part of e-commerce. Corrugated boxes, subscription boxes, that's a key part of the subscription services that are growing. And in that context, personalization is key, because with digital, you can do variable data printing, right? So you can, for each box going through the press, it can be tailored for whatever consumer is signed up for that subscription. And the tailoring could be the words, right? Their name, you know what I mean? Or a call to action. It could also be the images. If that person lives in a cold climate, it can, reflect that in the imagery, hot climate, reflect that in the imagery. Another thing related to variation that I'm hearing is that multicultural marketing is a big deal these days, right? You think about in the US, I think I just saw a stat that 42% of US consumers are now considered to be in a multicultural classification, right? And so with digital, you're able to put, lifestyle imagery and complex graphics on your packaging. And so the lifestyle imagery that you put on your packaging, individuals interacting with the products that are being sold, you want that to reflect the multicultural constituency that wants your products, don't you? If you're a brand manager, of course you do, right?
Yeah.
And so that's gaining traction as a key marketing initiative, and it's really aligned to what digital print can do.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad I asked that question because you gave a very good answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just about to wrap up, how can people get hold of you?
So it's easy to get a hold of me. It's my name, Kerry.Sanders@EFI.com. So KERRY.SANDERS@EFI.com. Or, you can go to our website and consume, some of the information that we've posted there. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I mean, that's my job, is to, to be this educator, if you will, to grow the awareness on the value proposition. And then, things like the tutorials that we're going to host on the ThePackHub is another way for folks to get more information on that. So really looking forward to that.
Thank you. Both your passion and enthusiasm is brilliant and really comes through. So Kerry Sanders, thank you very much for your time. And it's been a really enjoyable conversation.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.